Hello everyone, this is Daphne, the Senior Education Consultant from AAS Education Consultancy. Today, we have a focus on last-minute tips for UCAS application. I'm thrilled to be joined by a distinguished guest, Mr. Moran. Ryan is not only a dedicated sixth form college vice principal, but also a valued member of the International Advisory Group for UCAS. Welcome, Ryan. Ryan, can you briefly tell us about your role as the vice principal of MPW College and also the member of the International Advisory Group for UCAS?
No problem at all. Thanks, Daphne. And guys, welcome. It's good to have you with us. Yeah, so my name's Ryan Moran. I'm Vice Principal and Head of International at MPW College in Birmingham. So my role here is to oversee the progress of international students, and that includes their UCAS applications. So I've looked at hundreds of personal statements. I've helped students choose and prepare for courses from medicine to actuarial science to finance. So yeah, I've got a range of knowledge and experience in preparing students for university. Yeah, I'm currently a member of the International Advisory Board for UCAS. So this group is designed to improve the experience of the UCAS application for international students. So ensuring that they can access the UCAS form, looking at the type of grades they need, but also making sure that the information given to international students and their parents is good information that's accessible, and it gives them the best chance to apply for the courses that they wish to go for. So it's trying to even the playing field between international and domestic applications.
Thank you, Ryan. So Ryan is really in a good position for giving us advice on our UCAS application. Let's start with, what advice do you have for student UCAS application regarding different components?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, the most important part of the UCAS application for students would be the personal statement. Ensuring that they provide or they produce a competitive statement is key to differentiate themselves and make themselves unique for admissions tutors. We need to ensure that opening paragraphs, or most importantly the two opening lines, are not generic. So we often see statements which start with "when I was younger" or "I want to do medicine because I want to help people." We need to really avoid these generic statements and make them more unique. So do some research, look for something innovative. If you're going down the medicine field, look for a recent medical innovation and show your research and understanding of that. If you're applying for economics or finance, just have a look what's going on globally. What are the current market trends? What's happening in the UK? What's happening in Hong Kong? Okay, is there a difference between the two? Can we compare? Can we analyze? Actually show your understanding of the subject through an example rather than making generic statements. That way your application is going to be unique and it's going to showcase yourself in the best light.
As you mentioned about the personal statement and also the HR enrichment, are sharing experience considered significant in UCAS application?
Yes, it depends on the course that you apply for. It could be more important. So if we're going for something like pharmacy or medicine or physiotherapy or dentistry, then work experience is critical to the success of your application. You have to show that you've made the effort to go into industry, you've experienced some shadowing, you've worked in a hospital, you've worked in a GP practice. These things are key, and without it you're going to find it very difficult to get any offers. But also outside of those fields, in areas such as economics, finance, having industry experience or going into real life businesses, shadowing, working on reception, whatever it is, it just shows that you've made an effort but also gained some industry experience. Outside of work experience, anything that you can do in terms of things like Model United Nations, Student Council, being a prefect within your school, these are all ways to showcase skills that you've improved, because we need to remember we're not just listing experiences or achievements, we're showing the university how these have helped us to enrich or improve our skills, and that's what they want to hear about. So if you're talking about work experience, did it improve your empathy skills? Did it help you with communication? If we're talking about accounting and finance, your ability to analyse, look at statistics, market trends, your mathematical abilities, what has improved during that process, not just what you have done.
Thank you. I agree with you. Students are encouraged to proactively enhance their portfolio. Today, there are many options for us to join, especially in summertime. There are like Oxbridge program, medicine program, etc. If you would like to know more detail about summer program, please feel free to check on our Instagram. Back to the topics. What considerations should students keep in mind when finalizing their course choice, especially for those who are still unsure about their selection?
Yeah, good question. So if you're unsure about sort of what you want to do in the future, you need to ensure that your university choice gives you an option to pursue different fields. So you could look at joint honours courses like business and sociology or business and HR, which gives you a wider breadth once you leave in terms of potential jobs. Obviously, if you're going for something more specific like physiotherapy or medicine or dentistry, then you need to narrow your search down straight away and make sure that you're going to the appropriate course in order to pursue those fields. When we're selecting, we need to make sure we've got aspirational choices, but also ones where we can fall slightly below in terms of our grades. When you make 5 choices to start with, and then obviously you choose a firm and an insurance choice, we want to be in the position on results day where we have a place at university. You don't want to be in the stressful situation in terms of clearing, having to call up and search for options. And by having that firm aspirational choice and that backup, it puts you in a much better position. At NPW, we offer foundation courses which specialise in different pathways. So we've got science, engineering, business and humanities. These courses are designed to help you then go to university within a specialist area, and it prepares you by providing you with the content needed to then be successful at university.
Yeah, backup choice is already a good choice and backup for students. And especially for foundation pathway, they don't use up UCAS choices. So if you would like to check out more about the foundations options, please feel free to check on our Instagram again. Based on your experience, what common mistake student tends to make?
Yeah, so I think the biggest mistake really would be not having a strong enough personal statement or making it too generic. So lots of students will look at like opening phrases on Google in terms of personal statements, but obviously everyone is doing the same thing and it ends up with everyone having really similar things. So as I said earlier, you want to find something unique, something that not everybody is going to be talking about, because when the admissions tutor sees your opening statement in comparison to the majority of others, that's instantly going to help them to look at you in a better light and make you more competitive. And then again, making sure we've got that backup choice before results day. So you want to obviously apply for courses that you want to attend, but you need to have some that are differing in terms of grades. Don't just apply to all A-star AA or all AAA. Have something slightly lower, ABB, okay, maybe even BBB, depending on if there's a suitable course that you would still go to if you achieve those grades. So give yourself choice, but make sure you present yourself in the best light through having a really competitive personal statement.
I think students should really highlight this part. What key element contribute to a strong and effective UCAS application? And how should a strong UCAS application look like?
Yeah, so I'd say that there's 3 main elements to make your application strong and competitive. The first, which we've touched on, is obviously your personal statement. We need to ensure that this is of high quality. Outside of that, it's your academic profile, so your prior attainment. So students are going to be applying with different backgrounds, so whether you've got GCSE grades or IGCSE grades, whether you've completed Form 5 in Hong Kong, whatever your profile is, universities are going to look at that, and depending on what you're applying for, this may be more or less important and could contribute towards whether or not you get offers, even if you've got a good personal statement and good predicted grades. Obviously, outside of the student's control to some extent is their predicted grades. This is going to be what their offer is based around. So if your school or college submits predicted grades that are lower than the courses you've applied for, you would just be rejected instantly. There's no way to get this back. So you've got to make sure that you have those conversations with your school or college before you apply, and you can prove to your school or college that you will get to those grades before the final exams. We need to remember, and schools and colleges need to remember, that predicted grades are given before Christmas. Students have until June, so we've got another 6 months to improve and to get to their final grades. A good way to do this is to show that you're working, so make sure that obviously you're submitting your homework, you're being good in lessons, but also outside of school you're putting in extra time to your studies. At NPW we offer an Easter revision course, and we get hundreds of students from schools outside of NPW who come to us for 1 week up to 3 weeks in order to go through content and look at exam technique. They use this as a negotiation with their school to show that actually they can get from that B predicted to an A predicted by the final exams. And I think doing something like this shows initiative, but it also shows that you're going that extra mile to try and get to that aspirational university.
Can you tell us more about your Easter program?
Yeah, so our Easter Revision program runs for 3 weeks. It starts on the 25th of March. We offer foundation, A-level and GCSE courses in a range of subjects. All of the courses are taught by full-time NPW staff, and many of those are subject specialists and examiners. So they actually mark the exams for the exam boards, so AQA, EdExcel, OCR. We've got senior examiners in the building, so some of the top examiners in the country. But what's good about these sessions are they don't just concentrate on content, they also hone in and focus on exam technique. You usually find that that's the biggest weakness that both GCSE and A-level students have. They can recall content but find it more difficult to get this down on paper and answer the questions in the way that the exam board wants them in line with the mark scheme. So we use those weeks to look at past paper questions and look at different techniques or ways of achieving the higher end skills. So if we were looking at an essay-based subject, looking at AO4 evaluation, AO4 is the area where students lose the most marks across the country. So we'll look at techniques to ensure that students can do that AO4, can do that evaluation, and then do not lose those marks. This often acts as a grade boost exercise and can take students from B to an A, or sometimes even further, depending on how much work and time they put into their studies.
So it's like last hard push to the student.
Exactly right, yeah, it's a great way to keep them focused. I mean, students really shouldn't be taking a 2 or 3 week break without being supervised just before their exam. So getting them into a really structured classroom-based environment with experts who are examiners, I don't think there's a better way to prepare a student for their final exams than to do that.
Yeah. So can you guess what I'm going to say now? If you would like more details about the Easter program, please check on our Instagram. To sum up, what final words of encouragement do you have for A-level students who are in the process of submitting their UCAS application, and for those who are preparing their UCAS application for next year?
Yeah, so those are in the final stages. Obviously the deadline is approaching, so try to get your application off in good time. Some students already have offers, so you don't want to submit too late. But on the other hand, yeah, you need to make sure your application is ready, it's right. It's really important because this is what the university are using to decide whether or not to give you the offer for that course that you desire. So make sure that you proofread, make sure you get other people to read it, do a draft process, don't just submit your first version. Make sure you make changes, you add things, you remove things, get other people's opinions. But going back to my earlier point, showcase some knowledge within it, do some research, find something unique that's going to make you stand out. The admissions tutor is going to be reading hundreds of personal statements. If there's nothing in yours that's different, it's just going to be the same as everyone else's, okay? You need to make sure that you're showcasing and presenting yourself in the best light. It's a stressful process, and I get that it's difficult, okay? So take your time, seek advice, speak to as many people as you can, but yeah, make sure you get it right before you submit.
Thank you, Ryan. As we wrap up, I want to extend my sincere gratitude to Ryan for sharing your insights and tips for our students for their UCAS application. To our listener, I hope you find this discussion informative and useful in your UCAS journey. Best of luck, everyone. And if you have any question, don't hesitate to contact one of our education consultants. Thank you. Bye-bye.